In a recent op-ed, former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb detailed what he thinks the administration should be doing about vaping. Dr. Gottlieb joins us right now. We should point out he's also a CNBC contributor and a member of the Pfizer board. And, Scott, you have thought long and hard about this. You would like to see some pretty strict regulations coming down on this. But what do you think will be happening at the White House today? What do you think is happening behind the scenes? Obviously, you know a lot of the players.
Well, look, I think this is a legitimate process. I think they're trying to back into a policymaking process right now. And so this is a legitimate meeting they're having right now to try to gather some stakeholder input and have the president hear from different voices. If the concern is the vape shops, which is where I think the concern is resting right now, and the idea that if you put in a universal flavor ban, you'll basically shut down these adult-only vape shops, I think there's a way to carve around the vape shops and still achieve a lot from a public health standpoint. And you can even make a public health argument why you might exempt the vape shops for the time being. So if a vape shop is adult only, if it age restricts to allow people into the store, you couldn't allow that store to continue to sell flavored products on a direct relationship to a customer. What you need to go after are these mass-produced products that are cheap, disposable, very sleek and attractive, that kids are buying in gas stations and convenience stores, because that's what the kids are abusing. It's typically not these open-tank, big contraptions sold in the adult vape shops that the kids are using, because those things are hard to conceal. They produce large plumes of vapor, and the kids don't like them.
That is the kind of pushback. Grover Norquist and libertarians may come up with this idea that, look, as Eamon mentioned, stay out of my business. This is my decision on what to make. Your concern from the beginning has been the huge epidemic that's been taking place among children. How about that? I mean, it's gotten worse, not better.
No, it's gotten worse, and Juul actually increased their market share among kids over a course of time when everyone was, objectifying them and pointing out that kids were abusing their products. So it's quite extraordinary. I think that there's a way to target the portion of the market of the products that the kids are using, and you can consider taking the cartridge-based products, these disposable products, off of the market entirely, pending applications, successful applications with the FDA, where they need to prove that they provide a net public health benefit. Because you can argue right now they don't have enough redeeming public health value, given all the youth use, to remain on the market, and carve out the stuff that the adults tend to use, which are the open tank systems sold in these adult shops. But you've got to make sure the adult shops age restrict. Remember, the United Kingdom doesn't have the youth problem that we have, and they have a large population of smokers transitioning to vaping. But the difference is that most of the products sold in the UK are the open tank vaping systems, these larger contraptions, and the nicotine content is lower. So you don't have the 5% nicotine that the kids like because it gives them a quick buzz.
Let's get political. You know the president. What do you think is going to happen here? What does he have to be persuaded? Who's talking to him on either side? Because he clearly was ready to go on this, and then until he wasn't.
Yeah, look, I think that the reporting's been accurate, that they're legitimately concerned about shutting down these small mom-and-pop shops and these adult vape stores. And again, from a public health standpoint, I can make a rational argument that those shops.
Scott, you're talking about it in a very practical way. This is not a philosophical conversation. This is a political conversation.
I think they can carve around those vape shops. The bottom line is I think they can do it. I outlined it in the Washington Post. I think you can say if an adult vape shop age restricts and is selling to adults, you can allow them to continue to sell the flavored products. And what we're going to go after are these mass-produced, cartridge-based products. They have to either come off the market or take all their flavors off the market. The problem with just taking the flavors off the market in those products is I think the kids are going to start using the tobacco flavor because if you use... I have a different question for you. Who is going to come after... I want to know... This is the thing that I don't understand politically. If the president really is against vaping, which I think he is, across the board, by the way. I mean, across the board... The idea that he's going to somehow lose his base because he's going to actually go after something which would benefit the public and the public health, and he's going to lose his base to who? The base is going to transfer itself to Elizabeth Warren or to Joe Biden because they like him better. I don't understand this whole the whole thing's so cockamamie to me that I don't get it. Look, I haven't looked at the polling data. I don't know that they necessarily are looking at polling data. Those are the reports, right, that they're worried about the political implications. Right. But there is a legitimate argument to be made here that there are adults who are using these products to transition off of combustible cigarettes onto vaping products. And you don't want to just sweep the market of everything. You want to leave something for the adults. So what you can leave for the adults are these open tank systems sold in stores that age restrict. You have to be over 18 to get in the store. And then you take everything else off the market. So you preserve some portion of the market for adults who legitimately are using these products to quit smoking. Now, I'm not a big proponent of this altogether, but I think that there's a way to carve around what the adults are using responsibly and what the kids are abusing. Remember, if we look at what's happened over the last 2 years, what's been overshadowed by the e-cigarette epidemic, and it is an epidemic of youth use, is smoking rates have plummeted, and youth smoking rates have plummeted, and you have to acknowledge that some of that, at least, is a result of the vaping, that some adults are using these products to transition off of cigarettes onto these vaping products. So you don't want to disadvantage them entirely. So I think there's a way to carve around this, and it also helps them carve around the political concerns of shutting down these small shops.
That sounds practical, Scott. It sounds like it's common sense. It sounds like it's a plan that could get done, but will it?
I think it will. I mean, I think that something's going to get done here. They seem very committed. They wouldn't be putting out these statements doubling down on the fact that they're going to do something if they didn't intend to do something. I think they were, spooked by the politics of this and the pushback, and so now they're backing into a policy process and an open process, taking some dialogue, and they'll come out with something that probably carves around a little bit the vape stores. And I think that that's a fine place to land from a public health standpoint. I think I will take a glass half full here if we can get these pod-based, cartridge-based products either off the market entirely or severely restrict the kids' access to them.